from Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show.
God damn it!
And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No! I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. It's you and me. And here is a fascinating story. Once again, we have to protect the delicate little flowers, and we have to give them credit for trying. And we have to even out the playing field and make everything fair. This is not fair. The first runner to cross the finish line at this year's Boston Marathon will be a woman. How can you know that? I mean, men and women have won the Boston Marathon. How can the first runner be a woman? I mean, the Boston Marathon isn't for a few months yet. How can this be? Well, listen to this. Race officials are changing the starting format. So the elite female runners will leave Hopkinton, that's where the Boston Marathon begins, 25 minutes before the rest of the field, said Jack Fleming, a spokesman for the Boston Athletic Association. The early start is one of the most drastic changes in the race's 108-year history. The change most likely will bring the top women to Boston's Back Bay. That's where the Boston Marathon ends, right near the Copley Place Hotel. 8 to 10 minutes ahead of the first male finisher. Traditionally, all runners have started at noon, with the elite men and women moved to the front of the field to ensure they aren't caught in the crowd of thousands who run the race recreationally. What that has meant, top female finishers can be lost among second-tier male runners who finish about 10 minutes behind the winner. So the wheelchair race will still start first. They have the people in wheelchairs. God only knows why. But that will be moved up to ensure the wheelchair racers are ahead of the women, Fleming said. Look, if you want to have a wheelchair marathon, fan-freaking-tastic. Why are they all running together? Doesn't make any sense to me. So here we are once again changing the rules so the quote-unquote oppressed can compete quote-unquote fairly with the males who supposedly dominate everything. Isn't this outrageous? Isn't this outrageous? Why do we need to give women a 25-minute advantage? Look, if you don't like the fact that men compete and beat women at things, let women have their own marathon. Why do they need to compete with men? But what does this prove? If you let women start the race 25 minutes ahead of men, and a woman wins, what does that prove? Don't you think this is outrageous?
Tom. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom.
I remember you said this once. You said I could fart $3,000.
Yes. By the way, I have a new contract now. I'm farting 5,000 at a time.
Good for you.
The Tom Leykis Show. On
1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Ryan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How the hell are you, Tom?
Pretty damn good, Ryan.
So, yeah, I can't understand why all these women live on we're equal, but yeah, give us 25 minutes head start, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, we're so equal, we need a 25-minute advantage. That's how equal we are.
Yeah, it's like even with their, like, baseball, whatever they have, it's like they never have the same. They always got to pitch from 40 feet instead of 60 feet.
Yeah, once again, women, in attempting to prove they are superior, proving they are inferior and need to be protected and coddled and given advantages.
We should have just start the race the day after for them, you know?
Exactly. Give them, you know what you do? You give them a subway token to get on the T, and they can ride to the Back Bay.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous, man. It's like, I don't know.
They could take the train to Copley Plaza.
Maybe that way they could finish ahead of us, you know?
That's right.
All right, Tom, good talking to you, buddy. I love your show.
Thank you.
Me up?
Of course I can. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Sarah on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. I just want to say first off that I love you so much, and this is the first time I've ever called in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say that as a woman, if I were competing, I would be embarrassed and ashamed to even be a winner. And if the women that are competing really want to prove something, they need to just refuse to start 25 minutes ahead of time and run right along with everyone else.
That's right.
I mean, I wouldn't even want to tell anybody that I was the winner. It's not proving anything. I'm as liberal as they come, and I do believe in equal rights, and how they can assume that this is an equal rights leveling the playing field is ridiculous.
Well, if it's equal, then everybody should start at the same time.
Right. Everybody should start at the same time, regardless if they're a woman, a man, 5 years old, 80 years old, in a wheelchair. If it's equal, it's equal. It's ridiculous.
That's right. You're right about that, Sarah.
Yeah. Can you take me out with a bong hit, please?
Here you go, Sarah. It's 1-800-5800-TOM, Virginia, on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom. Once again, your ignorance regarding sports is just astounding.
Really?
I can't get over it.
Oh, yes, I'm ignorant.
What's happening this summer that's unusual in a normal year?
What is happening is that the women are being placed ahead of, elite women are being placed ahead of elite men.
No, what is happening this summer as far as sports go?
What are you talking about? I'm not taking any quizzes here, dear. We're talking about the Boston Marathon. It does not happen in the summertime.
It's a qualifier for the Summer Olympics, which is
so what?
Summer.
So what?
The elite girls, if they start with the men, are going to get caught in the second-tier men. Not the elite men. They can't keep up with the elite men. They know that.
Well, then why are they racing in the same marathon? Get the hell out of the marathon.
What? They're running for the marathon for the Olympics.
Fine. So you pick the top women according to which women finish first, second, and third.
With just the women. That's why they're letting them go out and have...
Well, why not just take all the men out of the race altogether?
Well, by letting them go out earlier, essentially you are, because they need an accurate qualifying time for the Olympics.
It's not accurate if you let them start 25 minutes ahead of everybody else. It's not accurate.
If they let them start... They don't want the girls to run with the second-tier men. They want the girls to run on their own because they run on their own in the Olympics.
Oh, why don't they run with the first-tier men?
Because they don't want the first-tier men to be slowed down by the first-tier women. God, Tom,
that is not what it says here. That is not what it says here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sean on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom.
Sean.
Hey, this is just a ploy by the feminists to make the women feel equal.
Of course.
In a male-dominated world. You know, and it's just, I mean, since the feminist movement began, this is all it is for
That's
them
right.
to make themselves feel
That's right.
equal.
That's right. That's like getting women into the fire department by making the standards lower, getting women into the military by making the standards lower.
And not letting them serve on the front line.
Right.
Exactly. They should just let them start halfway up. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know.
This is how we're going to prove women are equal, by having them get in on lower standards.
That's right. You know, the only good thing about this is, hey, if there's a real fast guy and he can get close enough, he can see all them asses shaking in front of him. Thanks, Tom. Take me out with a bong hit.
Here you go, Sean.
No cost.
April on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Are you kidding me? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's unbelievable.
How fair? That's not fair. Giving a head start? How fair is that?
Well, they always say, here's who won the Boston Marathon. I mean...
Yeah.
Who cares now?
Certainly not want a head start. You're not winning anything. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, of course, it would happen in Boston.
Well, did women want this done? Is that why they, were there just so many protests against it? Or
I have no idea. The spokesperson for the Boston Athletic Association is a man, but I don't know who made the decision.
Okay. Well, it's ridiculous. There's no fair race in letting someone get a head start.
Right.
Oh, well. I think that they should definitely just put women, put them all in the back, see if they can catch up.
Yeah, good luck on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, April.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Appreciate the call. Bye. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Ross on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hey, Tom, it's unbelievable to me. They might as well start them all at the finish line. You know what I mean? Everybody can have a little pink ribbon, and they all win.
But you have to give them credit for trying.
For trying?
Women love saying that when they can't beat men. When women can't be better than men. Well, you have to give them credit for trying.
You know, the only other national event where everybody wins is the Special Olympics. Now, if they want to compete in that...
There you go.
Maybe that would work for them.
Well, I know a few chicks who are pretty retarded. I think that...
Exactly. Now, I would say that if it's a man that's running the Boston Marathon that's in control of it, it had to be his wife yammering at him to get this thing changed.
Absolutely.
You know, who else would do it?
No doubt about it.
No self-respecting runner. I don't care, man or woman.
I think you're right about that. 1-800-5800-TOM. Ernie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How you doing, Tom?
Doing okay, Ernie.
I got an idea for these guys, but they might have it already set. If their minds aren't set yet, they ought to just have a separate tape, and they could call it the separate pitch side. So the real winner can go through the one tape, and then the selfish bitch that needs the picture in the paper, she can go through the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that makes sense.
I mean, obviously, the real winner is going to be the person that's going to make the best time, right?
By the way, I'll say something else. I don't even agree with the idea of taking so-called first-tier and second-tier runners and separating them out. I mean, you know what it should be? Whoever applies to get in, number one gets in first. Number two gets in second.
Exactly.
And if the first-tier runners are first-tier, they'll win anyway. This doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. It's whoever makes the best time is the winner, not who crosses the tape first.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you.
Hey, Tom, could you blow me up with African and a part?
Here you go, Ernie. Yeah. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Tom on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Okay.
Tom, if they're giving themselves about a half an hour out of about a 4 or 5 hour race, I guess they only consider themselves to be about 80% of a man.
That makes perfect sense.
But they gave themselves a leg up on when we still had slavery in this country. The Dred Scott decision said that a black man was only 3/5 of a white man. I guess the women think they're better than blacks, but not quite up to a man. Take care, Tom, buddy. Blow me up, will you?
Here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Greg on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
What do you say, Tom?
Not much, Greg.
Hey, I was reading in a magazine just recently that they're doing a similar thing at the LA Marathon.
What?
Yeah, they're staggering them 20 minutes, and it's even the playing field to see who wins first, and the winner gets an extra, I think, $25,000 in a new car. So I don't know if they're doing that at Boston, but just put a little light on there for you.
Unbelievable.
I hear you.
It's unbelievable.
Do you think
I mean, what if? Look, you have these so-called first-tier runners who've been running in various marathons, but what if somebody just came into the race for the first time and can outrun everybody? That could happen.
Absolutely.
Why shouldn't they all be running together?
I don't know the answer to that question, Tom, but...
No, it's just a rhetorical question.
Just, yeah, of course.
I wasn't expecting you to answer. All right, Greg.
Take me out with the bong head, Tom.
Here it comes.
Thanks, Tom.
It's Ray on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How's it hanging?
Hanging right, Ray.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dad. You're the dad I never had.
It's okay, son.
It's time to give deference to a sport that refuses to kowtow, and I'm talking about golf. And, the way they got it set up in golf? They got the PGA, they got the ladies' PGA, and whenever a lady wants to compete with the boys, she comes and she tees off from the pro tees just like the other pros.
Well, but the thing is also, though, they have allowed women now to compete in the male events, but the men are not permitted to compete in the female events.
Yeah, maybe we need a little equality there, too.
Let's have Greg Norman and Vijay Singh and Tiger Woods play the LPGA Tour, win all the prize money.
Yeah, there we go. Well, now that would turn out, but,
You know exactly how it would turn out.
But you still got to give credit to, like the little Michelle Wee, the little 14-year-old. She's coming in, she's playing with the boys by their rules, and that's the way the running should be.
I agree with you, and you know what? May the best girl win, or the best guy, or whatever.
Take me out with a BT.
A BT, here you go.
Thank you, Jesus.
Jerry on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello, Mr. Tom.
Jerry.
Hey, I think you got it wrong because they're letting the girls start off 25 minutes ahead, but they're not giving them that advantage. It doesn't come off their time. It's still, whatever their overall time is still their overall time. They're not getting a head start.
Well, it says here that this will bring the top women to the back bay 8 to 10 minutes ahead of the first male finisher.
Yeah, but let's say the men finish in 2 hours and 10 minutes. The women usually finish maybe 15 minutes behind them. So all they're going to do is, if a woman won, a man would come in right 10 minutes behind the girl, but the man would still have the fastest time. They're not. It's not 25 minutes.
Yeah, but who would be counted as coming in first?
The man, whoever had the fastest time. Forget the 25-minute advantage. It's not an advantage.
And why do they need 25 minutes to start 25 minutes ahead?
Because they're trying to keep it from getting them all crowded in.
Well, why don't they put the men first?
Well, they do. They lead. Well, they have been doing it like that, but the lead runners, the men were at the front. But the girls, a lot of the men that they call second-tier men would interfere with the women and be in front of them.
Why don't we put the first-tier men first, then the first-tier women?
Well,
if it doesn't matter.
They're just trying to change it now to do something different. I ran a marathon, and they ask you before you start when you're a rookie, what's your time average? And I go, okay, I run about a 3-hour marathon, so they'll back me up maybe 300 yards. To where about 3, so that I'm not getting trampled by the guys that are faster than me or slowing the people, down.
Right.
But so the 25-minute isn't an advantage. They're not giving them that off their time. They're just stretching out they're just trying to uncrowd it and.
Well, putting women first, they're trying to make a statement of some kind here. I'll tell you that.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles, 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Jim, hello.
Tom.
Jim.
This is Jim. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Cool.
I just want to clear something up for you. I think there's a little misunderstanding. The men and the women don't actually race against each other, so when they're getting that head start, it really doesn't affect where the men stand.
It doesn't affect where the men stand, and it doesn't affect the time?
No, each runner is timed on...
Doesn't it screw up, like, if you were trying to compare a runner this year to runners in all the other years, doesn't it screw up the time?
Not really. I think each runner has a microchip that they wear, so they're timed exactly to their time. I think what the woman tried to say earlier was, since this Olympic trials are coming up, they want a more accurate reading for the women.
Why not just let them run their own race?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably because it's...
the thing about the Boston Marathon,
yeah,
and later on the New York Marathon, and later on the L.A. Marathon. The Boston Marathon was the original of these.
Right.
And the thing about it was supposed to be one of these, it was like it's a holiday in Boston.
Right.
For God's sake. And it's that day when anybody can go run in the Boston Marathon.
Exactly.
It is not supposed to be for necessarily overtly commercial purposes. And certainly I consider the Olympics a commercial purpose, whether or not the runners are getting anything.
Sure.
It's supposed to be where everybody gets in and the best runner wins. That's it.
Right. I think it's just a way to make sure that runners who are not competitive don't, I guess, tie up the ones who actually have a chance at the Olympics. What bothers me is that when they send the men off, they could very easily get tied up with the stragglers from the women.
Why would you use the Boston Marathon as a way to determine who's going to be in the Olympics? After all, the Boston Marathon is not run on a track. It is not under controlled conditions. You're running through potholes and bad weather. And
yeah, the Olympics are the same way, though. That's not run on the track either. That's the final.
Yeah, I understand, but if you're measuring times and things, you know what? You should have Olympic qualifiers. You want to do it in Boston, put them indoors where the Celtics play or something.
Yeah.
Or at, Harvard or somewhere, and let them run under ideal conditions, get the times, and then those are the people who go.
I guess, but there's certain conditions that favor certain runners. So if you're on a flat track, you might not get a good idea of...
Have an Olympic marathon another day where you have just Olympic qualifiers, one race for men, one race for women. But why the Boston Marathon?
I don't know. I think they're all pretty much like that, though. They've all turned into like these holiday events, like you said.
Yeah.
I used to live in Houston, and it's the same thing there. Anybody can show up and
no, but the thing is, anybody can show up. But if you're not considered an elite runner, and you're not in a wheelchair, and you're not a woman, well, you get to start way back in the pack.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
How do they figure that out, though? I mean, do you say you're a good runner, or do you have to prove?
I imagine you have to show that you run into the marathons. I don't know, but what I will say is this again. If you want to have races where you're going to decide who the best of the elite runners are, then have a race of elite runners.
Yeah.
But when you're tying up 20, 25 different neighborhoods at a time, blocking streets, giving people the day off from, everybody should be running. Anybody should be running. Whoever applies first gets in first. That's it. First come, first serve. That's that. To me, that's a marathon.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I just didn't want you to think that they're giving them a head start so it will look like a woman wins the Boston Marathon when actually that's not.
All right.
Not exactly correct.
Well, I understand.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Todd on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Sir Tom.
Yes, Todd.
If we knighted people in this country, you'd be top of the list, buddy.
Really?
Really? Of course.
Love
now, I have a question for you about this marathon thing. Now, if we're going to try to level the playing field, I mean, like in the wheelchair race, do the female wheelchair racers, do they get a 25-minute head start? What about if you're a hermaphrodite? Do you get a 12-and-a-half-minute half start?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Now, again, the men and the women don't run in the same race. That's been made clear to us by any number of people. But nonetheless... I just don't understand the idea of separating out certain runners. You know what? The fastest runner in the world could be somebody from some African nation you've never seen before, who's never raced before, who comes to Boston and runs faster than any human being you've ever seen. Why should they be stuck 25 minutes behind somebody else? I don't get it.
Yeah, maybe we should give all the crackers a 25-minute head start. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Jimmy on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi.
Jimmy.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to reiterate what the other people were saying. Yeah, the women run a separate race. They don't actually get 25 minutes. The person that runs the fastest time wins the race. The women get 25 minutes ahead because a lot of elite women use good club men, like guys who wouldn't make the Olympic team but still might be well up there. They use them on the course to get me water and do things like that. And some women get an unfair advantage over other women. So by making these elite women run ahead of the pack, it pretty much null and voids that advantage. You know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But
these women cannot use another guy that wouldn't really be in the race looking to get on the Olympic team, but he would be in there capable of running a good fast time and therefore assisting a woman. Plus, by doing that, he can make sure she has her water. He can kind of shield her from the wind, and therefore, give certain women an unfair advantage. And that's why they make them. LA is doing it as well, and lots of major marathons around the world have done that. London has done it. Berlin has done it. The Paris Marathon does it.
Does it really make sense to have all of these amateurs? I'm going to call them amateurs because even the people who run these races all the time are not professionals. Does it really make sense to have all these people in the same race and then use the times as Olympic qualifiers?
Well, it does, because they usually separate the elite athletes by maybe 10 yards. When the people line up, pretty much everybody can line up, but the elite athletes usually get maybe 10 yards in front of everybody at the start line. They're actually on the start line, but there's a little bit of a gap. They're in a different corral. So, yes, there is a race up front, but a lot of people are in a marathon just to complete it.
Well, I know that. That's why I'm saying maybe it shouldn't be so formal. Maybe these are not the events where you should. Maybe you should have races that are nothing but elite runners.
It's very, very difficult to arrange a marathon just with elite runners because the organization that goes into shutting down streets.
Well, my God, here in Los Angeles, we close down the streets for AIDS demonstrations, political demonstrations. We have all kinds of events that clog up the streets of Los Angeles. So, it could be Halloween in West Hollywood. I mean, they tie up streets, tie up traffic, anti-war demonstrations. Look, if they can do that, they can set up the streets for an elite runners marathon, I would think.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
I think women understand how important fellatio is to most men. I don't think they get it.
The Tom Leykis Show. On
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Oh, let's continue here to Will on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello, Father.
Hello, son.
Yeah, this reminds me a few years ago. There was a UConn women's basketball player.
Yeah.
She was 1 point away from scoring the all-time NCAA, record for points scored, right? Well, what happened was she broke her leg her senior year, done for the year. And what they decided to do was basically give her the record, okay? During the game, it was like the last game of the season or whatever, gave her the ball right underneath the hoop. She shot a layup, got the record anyway. With a broken leg, standing underneath.
You had to give her credit for trying.
Yeah. I mean, what is that? I mean, Dan Marino was in the NFL for 17 years. Can you imagine the NFL just saying, oh, you know what? You never won a Super Bowl, but here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
Can you blow me up, Tom?
Of course I can. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. David on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, David.
I just called in to bring up a point that I think is going to happen. I'd be willing to bet money that after the first woman crosses the finish line, Oprah will present her on her show as the first woman to cross the finish line first.
You're probably right.
She is going to capitalize on that.
Oh, I'm sure of that. First time a woman crossed the finish line first.
That's what they'll do, and they won't tell the whole story.
Right. I think you're absolutely right.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out.
I'm glad you did. Bob on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
All right, Bob.
I'm a cross-country coach, and in reality, the Boston Marathon, none of these are qualifiers for the Olympics. So when that guy was talking about that, he's a little bit off on that. In fact, they just had the Olympic trials recently. 2 American men qualified to go to Athens, and what you could use the Boston Marathon for, if you run a 2:22 marathon or faster, you could qualify to get the Olympic trials. But the problem they have here is when they have the women going earlier, it separates the men from the women, which in a way, when you think about it, is good. So this way the men can't pace these girls. He was right about that. You don't want them pacing them to get a faster time than they naturally would get. I mean, how do you feel about that?
What do you mean by getting a faster time than they naturally would get?
What I'm saying is, if you're running with a guy that's faster, say he's a 2 hour, 30-minute marathoner, and the woman her best time is 2:35. 2 hours, 35 minutes. By running with a guy, he could pace her to a faster time that could either qualify her for Olympic trials or, to give her a personal best, but she didn't do it basically on her own. So when you have 2,000 runners out there, if you separate out some of them, the elite runners, at least they're going to run a time that naturally will be their best time and not have a man bring them along to a faster time.
Here's what I don't understand, because I've never run a marathon. How can a man bring someone along to a faster time?
Well, the girl just tries to stay with the guy, and if he's a faster runner, she stays as long as possible with him until maybe the end when she has some sort of a kick, if possible, to bring her to a faster time instead of maybe being out there and just running with the other women who perhaps are slower anyway.
If there were a wide enough course and everybody could run, could a woman ever beat a man?
Well, some of them could be a lot of men. It all depends.
Could a woman ever be first?
Again, if it's maybe a second-tier type of a marathon, possibly yes. If it's a marathon that no one really, the top elite runners don't go to, that's possible. But in these marathons, no.
It would always be a man.
It'll be a man, and it'll be like at least 20, 30 men before the first woman comes in.
Got it.
Blow me up, Tom.
Here you go, Bob.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
There was a rule when we got married. Never mess around on me, never stop filleting me, and never get fat.
Never stop filleting me. Words I can live with.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show, 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Derek on the Tom Leykis Show.
How you doing, Tom? First-time caller. I just want to ask the question, what the hell has happened to common sense? Why are there women golfers trying to tee off with men golfers when they have the LPGA? Why are there Girl Scouts trying to be Boy Scouts when they have the Girl Scouts? Why are women saying they're independent and looking for the man with the biggest wallet to carry their ass? What has happened to common sense? Common sense is if you want to race under the ideal conditions, you should be expecting to race a race in the Olympics anywhere else with ideal conditions. That's never going to happen. So why the hell should they have ideal conditions for that particular gender when they're not going to do the same thing when they run the race in the Olympics anywhere else?
I totally agree.
I understand.
Totally agree.
And I just want to also say thanks a lot for outing that situation with the three little I want to say misfits that had the homeless guy, go to jail for no reason.
Well, they were arrested right there in the classroom, but now I read today in today's Los Angeles Times that they will, what's the deal? They will not face any jail time, more than likely, and I think they should face jail time, whether it be juvenile hall or wherever you put 11 or 12-year-old girls.
Somewhere. I think it needs to be more public, maybe just male. I'll cry for it because women cannot have it both ways. When a man wants to do something, they say, we can't have our cake and eat it too. Why the hell should they eat for free and not expect to pay some kind of residual something?
I totally agree.
It's ridiculous. If a man, all these women that are copycatting, marrying these little kids that they're teaching in school, they don't come down on them, put them under the jail, as it were, if a man looks at a woman. I'm not trying to condone any kind of, child molestation of any sort, but it's not the same. That's what's wrong with this country. It's not the laws, it's who they enforce them on. And then when it's a certain person, they want to change the laws to fit them.
Very good points.
Blow me up, Tom.
Here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Mike on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hey, Tom, dude, you're my hero.
Thank you.
Hey, I was just saying, if you're going to, have a starting time on a race, how are you going to know who friggin' wins at the end, man?
Well, the way they do it is, which is kind of a boring way to watch a race. You're watching these people racing. Like at the end of the Indianapolis 500, the first car that comes across the finish line is the winner.
Yeah, exactly.
There isn't one car that comes in 25 minutes ahead of the other cars, and they go, okay, well, let's figure out how much time that car went, and let's wait for all the other cars to cross the finish line, see what time they started, see what time they ended. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Where's the fun in watching it then? You're taking the whole sport out of it. It's it's ridiculous.
I totally agree with you. Russ on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, what's happening?
Not much, Russ.
Hey, I think the guy that set this whole thing up is a genius.
How so?
Well, it gets the women home faster to get back to cooking and cleaning. I mean, who cares about time anyway? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know why women don't wear watches, right?
Why is that?
Because there's a clock on the stove. All right, Tom, I got to get running, buddy.
All right, Russ. I love that. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Mike on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Mike.
I figured it out. It's for TV. Who wants to sit there if the men run first and they're all, here's the 125th place male, and all of a sudden here comes the first place female run.
No, they generally don't stay with that, the coverage of marathons till the end anyway. Otherwise, you're going to have 57 wheelchairs wending their way through the streets. No one's going to be covering that.
Plus, when the women start behind you and finish behind you, how can you check out their butts while you're passing them? If they start in front of you, it's motivation. You see that fine booty a block up, you're going to speed up to check it out.
Have you ever seen the looks of the chicks who run in marathons?
When you see them, you'll keep on running.
The other way, I think, is where you'll be running. Thanks for the call. Our email address is my name. It's Tom@blowmeuptom.com.
The Tom Leykis Show.